When we have a page like the event details page, obviously you're not going to create one component for every event that you create in your application. Instead, you create one component that is dynamic enough that you're able to feed the information to, and based on it, you present the information to the user. And that's what we currently have in the code right here, where we basically created an event object, and based on the information in the object, that is what we are presenting to the user over here. So one thing we're going to need to do in this video is basically remove this object and have it being driven by an ID or by one of the events that we have in our dataset. Now the problem becomes is how do we map multiple URLs to the same component? Because as you remember from the main.jsx file here, when we defined our routes, we basically mapped every component to a URL. So how can we have multiple URLs mapping to the same component only with different parameters? This is where the route params comes in play, and that's what we're gonna show in this video. So I'm gonna go back first of all to the details JSX file, and instead of having this hard-coded event, we're gonna create a constant. We'll call this event ID, and let's set the value of 1 for now. And we're gonna get the event information from the campus events dataset, which is being imported from this file right here. And we're gonna do the find. So we're basically gonna be looking for the event where the e.id equals whatever the event ID is. So if I save this, right now you see how the information is being driven by event number 1. You kind of may have noticed that the paragraph has shifted a little bit. So if I change this to event number 2, you see the information is being updated accordingly. And if I do event 3, the same happens there as well. So now that is kind of step number 1, that we're able to modify or to show different information based on a parameter of the event ID. Now we want this to be something that actually comes from the URL, so that we're able to say, show me events number 3 or events number 2, so on and so forth, and that would load our component. And that's what a route parameters is. So I'm gonna go back to my main.jsx file, and instead of having events/details, we're gonna change this so it goes to /:id or event ID. This is the route parameter that we're defining for our component here, and you can call it whatever you want. So I'm gonna save this here, and I'll go into my event details. And you notice how our router automatically started taking me back to the event details page. What it did right now is that it understood that anything that comes after events, so for example, events/1, events/2, all of them should map to the event details component. And that is a great step so far. Now I'm gonna go back to my events details page, and we'll replace this with a call to the use params function, or hook, which comes from the React Router DOM library here. Now I'm wrapping this into an object so that I'm able to destructure whatever comes out of the use params into that variable here. So now if I save this, you see how events number 1 takes me to this component. Events number 2 takes me to the same component with a different information or different details. And same thing, if I change the URL to /3, it'll take me to the third event. Now, if I try to provide an ID that does not exist, like number 5, we see that we get this error that says this event does not exist. And so here we realize that we want to capture those scenarios here so that we're able to gracefully show the user a proper page. So over here, I'm going to have a check that basically says, if there's no event, then we need to return something like event does not exist, and save that. Now, if I go to this page and refresh, we get this event does not exist. And maybe we should actually show them a link that will take them back to the event list. So let me change this from a paragraph, or let me actually wrap this paragraph in a fragment. So, and below this, let's create a link from React Router DOM that will take them to /events, and it will read go back to the events list. And if I save this, here we go, we get this button that says go back to the events list. If I click on it, it will take me to this view instead. So what happens if we have an authentication page or a login page and we want to control what URLs the user is able to go to? That's what we want to talk about in the next video.